Ahoy! Welcome everyone. This is Meskó, the medical futurist, and welcome to this live Q&A on YouTube from the medical futurist. If you don't know me, I'm your personal medical futurist. My job is as a professional futurist and a physician is to forecast next trends, technological trends, regulation trends, anything that is related to the near future of medicine and healthcare. Thus, I'm trying to help those in need, those in leadership positions to better prepare for whatever is coming next. I have an amazing team of 17 people at the Medical Futurist, and with your support, we can keep on producing a whole range of free content, articles, analysis on medicalfuturist.com, daily commentaries on news, announcements, reports, and studies on all the major social media channels, YouTube videos, and occasionally, every 3 weeks, we have this live Q&A session here on YouTube. I hope that you're having a great day and that we can have quite a dynamic discussion because the topic is really exciting. GPT-4 came out about 2 weeks ago, the newest iteration, the newest version of ChatGPT, a large language model. And since then, I have been working with that daily. In fact, today I submitted the first study we wrote at the Medical Futurist Institute about GPT-4 and its specific role in the near future of medicine and healthcare. So there are so many things to talk about. I have 2 plans for today. In the next 58 minutes or so, I plan to answer any questions that you might have about this exciting AI-based technology. Plus, about 40 of you submitted really thoughtful questions through the eventbrite.com website. But for now, welcome everyone on the chat. I always love hearing about where you're coming from. So if you can just insert a city or a country, it will give me a picture about who we are having here in the chat and what kind of discussions we can have about, for example, country-specific regulations around large language models, especially GPT-4. Okay, good to see that. US, India, there are some names that I recognize in the chat. It's good to see all of you again here. I like Jorge Cardona. Absolutely. I think, well, I don't just think that ChatGPT and large language models, LLMs in general, represent an exciting technological trend. I think it is indeed a breakthrough. When I first went online in 1997, I felt the same kind of technological amazement that this one technology alone could change life, could change how we do our jobs, how we live our lives. And since then, literally, I've been working with ChatGPT at least for half an hour, 1 hour every day. And I cannot even count to you or maybe estimate how much time I have saved throughout the process. I also learned many things, in what fields it's not useful or what kind of skills I have to improve in myself to learn to better work with an LLM-based system. For those that don't know what I'm talking about, this is ChatGPT from OpenAI. It's free for everyone. The GPT-4, as far as I know, is only accessible for the professional users who pay, I don't know exactly how much every single month, but otherwise ChatGPT is a free tool. And it has reached the milestone of having 100 million users in 2 months. That took Instagram, I think, 9 months. It took Facebook about 2 years. So this is really an extraordinary breakthrough and challenge. In the meantime, welcome everyone on the chat. Let me check out where you're coming from. Oh, wow, everywhere. Actually, India, the US, Dallas, Texas, USA, Brazil, New York, London, Malaysia, Puerto Rico, New York, Vancouver Island, New Jersey, San Francisco, Princeton, New Jersey, Tampa, Florida, Los Angeles, quite a US-based audience today, Bulgaria, San Diego, Ghana, Netherlands, London. Wow, guys, let's start doing this because there are so many questions that you pre-submitted through the Eventbrite website. Plus, again, if it's a live Q&A, so if you have any questions from now on, let's just check those questions out. The first thing I have to start with, just a few words about the recent news. One, showing that Italy became the first Western country to ban ChatGPT. It's a very brave thing to do, but by brave I mean not in the positive sense of the word. I don't see why they would do that. I absolutely see the privacy issues, the regulatory issues around using ChatGPT, but banning it outright, I don't think that's the right solution. And even in the Eventbrite, on the Eventbrite website, there was a question about that. Let me check it for you. Why so many countries are banning ChatGPT? Yeah, here it is. Why are several countries banning the use of ChatGPT? Well, it's not exactly true. I only know about 5 countries: Iran, Russia, North Korea, Italy, and China. So it's not a widespread thing to do. Some of these countries ban all the other types of advanced technologies, social media sites, social networking sites, AI-based technologies coming from Western countries. So that's not really something specific to ChatGPT. But I think that's not a good decision. Just a few words about the moratorium. I'm sure you've heard about that. There was an open letter from hundreds of scientists, researchers, tech moguls, leaders of technology companies to call for a pause in the development of large language models. Again, I don't think that's the right thing to do. And I hoped when I saw this announcement and I first immediately shared that saying that this is just not the right solution. I hope that AI researchers would back me, and Andrew Ng, the mind behind deep learning.ai, immediately started tweeting about why it's a bad solution, why it's a bad idea, and I cannot agree with him more than what he said. The solution lies in sitting down with regulators and finding good solutions now. Start regulating this technology now in every field, including healthcare. And there are possibilities. I've been checking for the last 2 weeks, because that's a study we wrote about GPT-4, about the regulatory issues around large language models. And there are so many papers out there already showing potential frameworks, potential regulatory issues and solutions that could help solve this issue. But just pausing development is not the right way, not the path forward. Plus, if you have a competitive advantage compared to your others, and the advantage is not like 1.5, it's about 100 times better service than or product that you can design with ChatGPT. Instead of just not using it, you won't stop developments for 6 months. That's just in practice, it's not possible to do that. Well, in the meantime, let me check out if you have any questions yet. Not yet. I'm happy to see that there are so many of you from so many parts of the world. In the meantime, let me just check the second question that was submitted through the Eventbrite website, and hopefully it will just give you an idea of start asking questions live. Which areas will be the first to adopt these services? I think those that require any kind of interaction or chatbot-based services. OpenAI currently allows companies to use the service through the API, so it's possible to integrate ChatGPT into their services. Actually, 2 companies, one quite large company has done that already. The first one is about Microsoft's Nuance, and they implemented ChatGPT into their medical note-taking tool. It's quite that one is a brave step forward. And the other one was about a French startup. Let me show it to you. I won't know their name for now. Okay, it's Nubla. Yeah. We share the news, of course, on the Medical Futurist channels. It's a digital health startup, and they started implementing GPT-3 into their patient conversations that they have on the service. I said it when ChatGPT was released that we will definitely see at least one major healthcare company integrating ChatGPT into their core business. I thought it would definitely happen in the last 6 months. It happened about 2 weeks after this announcement. So yeah, there we are. And the second part of the question was, will the implementation of ChatGPT make us dependent and unable to function independently due to outsourcing our knowledge, thought process, and clinical reasoning? If that's the case, then it would have been the case already with the internet in general. When Wikipedia came out, when the first really good search engines came out, when Wolfram Alpha came out, there were headlines saying that, well, we will lose skills, we will lose our urge to obtain knowledge. In fact, it just made us, if we spend enough time improving our skills that allow us to exploit the potentials of these technologies, then these technologies just made us better in our job, maybe more efficient, faster, and more knowledgeable. I think the same fate awaits us if we learn to use ChatGPT-like tools in a similar way. And the reason why GPT-4 is such a big thing, let me show you why. It's this. So the newest iterations of this large language model is not just that they are a bit better. It's, you can see, GPT-4 is 10 times more advanced than its predecessor, GPT 3.5. GPT 3.5 was announced last November. GPT-4 came out late March. In 4 months, they went 10 times more advanced. So what's going to happen in the next 10 months? Next 4 months, we'll go 10 times better from now. So in less than 1 year, these models can improve at a rate of, 100 times. It's just an incredible pace of development, which it's really hard to keep up with that kind of speed. But imagine the potentials at the same time using these technologies. All right. Longsha finally has a live question. Thank you for rolling the dice here. How do we bring GPT-4 to hospital networks, pharma companies, and safeguard patient data? Shouldn't we be considering smaller models like Gateron or for tailored solutions? I agree with you, we should, but I think everybody will reach out to GPT-4. If you start using this and you compare it to any other conversational AI agent out there, those are not even comparable. Not even Bing that actually uses GPT 3.5. So I think that hospital networks and pharma companies won't start implementing ChatGPT yet. Not even regulators are aware of the potential issues they should solve, not now, but in the next couple of years. So I think there will be a big lag here compared to how professional organizations, pharma companies, hospital networks will be able to use that, maybe in 6, 12, 24 months from now. But in the meantime, everyone else in these systems, so employees of pharma companies, employees of hospital networks, healthcare professionals, all of them, patients, all of them will keep using ChatGPT because it's incredibly useful. I even heard some of my pharma company contacts that there were memos inside the company saying that please don't share private, sensitive, business-oriented data in ChatGPT prompts because we don't know exactly how much information OpenAI would obtain about us and those prompts. Actually, at the Medical Futurist, we checked this out, and there is an article we wrote about this where we checked every single AI company, Midjourney and all these, and we checked how much data they want to obtain about us. And I want to share the article with you. Give me a second here because we worked a lot on that article. This one. Do you think I can find it? I cannot find it. Okay, I will share it later when I find it. So yeah, that's how I see this issue here. Deep learning partnership, yes, we know about 5 countries that have banned ChatGPT as of today. Okay. Mary Ann Schultz, some implications. Let me share a question with everyone else here. Some implications, please, for telehealth and remote patient monitoring. The best thing about ChatGPT is that we don't have to come up with something we don't know about yet. Let's ask ChatGPT. Because it very much depends on what kind of scenario you have in mind about what kind of results it would come up with. So please, I always start with please. Please tell me some potential applications of GPT-4 for telehealth and remote patient monitoring. Of course, it has a wide range of applications in telehealth and remote patient monitoring. For example, it could serve as a virtual health assistant. Again, through the API of OpenAI, companies can integrate ChatGPT into their service. Second is triage and symptom analysis. It could help analyze patient-reported symptoms. So while the physician is checking out the patient's report, it can also share these symptoms in the ChatGPT section. And while the physician is doing something else, ChatGPT could come up with a sort of assessment or summary about that. Medication adherence, it could be used to send out reminders, provide information about drug interactions. It could help analyze the data obtained by patients from their wearable devices. I've seen examples about that. Someone tried to upload, in a text-based format, the data they receive from their fitness wearable tracker and ask specific questions about analyzing the data. And of course, it managed to do that. Personalized patient education, we know for such general purposes, ChatGPT is amazing. Care coordination, I have some doubts about that, because for that you have to integrate GPT-4 into the service. Appointment scheduling, same. Patient engagement and motivation. I'm sorry. I think, well, it can be useful because not in a way that it interacts with patients, but physicians can ask ChatGPT to create specific messages that they would post, for example, on Facebook. Please, ChatGPT, write me a Facebook post about the importance of the flu vaccine. And of course, it will write an amazing Facebook post. And clinical decision support. I have reviewed a study recently where they added clinical notes, clinical studies and case studies into ChatGPT, and it solved most of them, like in a medical examination. So at the US MLE medical exam, I think GPT-4 is at 85% at this point, which is simply extraordinary. Even if just, for fairness for medical students, for these tests, they have to remove images and they have to remove every complex question that is not just text-based. So for everything else, it reaches a accuracy of 85%, but a real USMLE test is much more complex than that. Marta Eugenia Garcia, Yatkovsky expressed that more than a pause, it is required to stop ChatGPT. We are not ready for the outcomes. I just don't understand how these people who have been making such amazing advanced technologies available, why they are arguing for stopping the development, which is, again, practically impossible. Even if we decide, you and I and regulators, we decide that we want ChatGPT to be stopped in developments, many companies, many countries will keep on doing that unless their country-specific regulations force them to stop. And that's not going to happen when there is such a huge comparative advantage. Rupali Pawar asked this question: is it reliable to use ChatGPT in the medical field? In the medical field, let me correct the question. You know me. No, it is not. But I think the era of ChatGPT also brought an era of, I call it the era of verification. You can get amazing things from ChatGPT, but the way you verify the information, it depends on your own skills, because ChatGPT won't give you resources or references. Now, let me try, like for the last question about potential applications for telehealth, please tell me the resources used for this answer. You have to proactively ask for providing references and resources. And sometimes, as you can see, it tells you it didn't use specific resources. Sometimes it lists just a few books or general websites or reports from WHO, for example. But my major concern about this is that in evidence-based medicine, if you don't know where the information point is coming from, you cannot use it in your medical field. Moreover, sometimes I ask ChatGPT to come up with the resources for an issue, for a great answer it provided, because I wanted to back up the answer I used and reframed with those resources, and it came up with fake resources I couldn't even find through those links and through those citations. So it's a tricky issue, and no matter how advanced ChatGPT will become, I'm afraid it will keep on depending on your individual abilities to verify the information you find there. Again, it can be extremely useful, but you are the one verifying the information. Yeah, Jorge, I agree. As humanity, we are never ready for a technological innovation or breakthrough, but here we are. Okay, many questions keep coming in. Please do that. Pavel Kozlov has this question. What challenges will face small and big companies after implementing ChatGPT into their medical tech services? First of all, they will face the challenge that there are no regulations for doing that. So they don't know how they can do that. If they want to bring a medical technology to the market, hardware or software-based medical technology, they can do that because there are clear frameworks. Even now for AI-based medical technology, but for ChatGPT, we don't know yet. We don't even know in what category large language models will fall, because these are not just general AI-based medical technologies. These represent a very specific field. So So we don't know. Coach Marcy, what about Bard? Well, it would be great to know, but as someone living outside the US, I'm not able to test it, which is a very weird thing to do from Google's perspective. I understand their concerns about privacy issues and regulations, but I loved OpenAI's global approach a lot more than this. Okay. Chris Leal, welcome to the chat. I am a business consultant to clinics and laboratories. What kind of use do you suggest these business should start experimenting? The thing I want you all to get here as an information is that nobody has the answers for most of these questions, but with ChatGPT, we can give it a try. So, literally, let's ask to clinics and laboratories, okay, what kind of use of GPT-4 do you suggest these businesses should start experimenting with? Okay, let's see. As usual, it always says, you can suggest several applications of GPT-4 for these businesses. Administrative tasks automation, and automating routine tasks, like drafting email. It's very good at that. I do this every single day. I ask ChatGPT to write emails for me. Reports, creating meeting agendas. Okay, customer service, like we talked about this, it's a conversational chatbot per se. Personalized patient education, it came up with that before, with telehealth. This is my absolute favorite point, medical literature analysis. Guys, I keep on inputting large texts from research papers, and I ask it to just summarize me the abstract or answer these very specific questions I have about the data, about the methods. It's extremely useful. Then data analysis interpretation, okay, about such lab results and patient record, knowledge management, operating procedure generation, grant and funding proposal writing. Guys, you can see that it keeps on going forever. Of course, some of these are very general, but what I want to show you is that we are entering the era of using AI every single day. We don't have to know the answers for everything. ChatGPT doesn't know the answers to everything either. But together, like the president of OpenAI said at the very end of his GPT-4 demonstration, it's not perfect, but neither you are. But together, we could build something amazing. That's what I hope you will get by the end of this Q&A. I'm happy to hear that Bard is cool. I'm looking forward to testing it when it becomes globalized. Arslan, can you please elaborate what do you mean by healthcare professional self-detailing? Okay. There are tons of medical LLMs appearing. I agree. MedPalm is far the most exciting. I think what Google came up with is great because I saw the study as soon as they came out. Here it is for your consideration. I will share the link in the chat as well. I think it's simply amazing, and we analyzed what MedPalm can bring to the healthcare market as soon as it came out. Here is the link in the chat. In the meantime, let me check the next question. What about Rasen Rosinov? What about using ChatGPT in rare languages like Hungarian? Will big players solve this problem? For us, our countries have to support models. We don't know yet. I think the AI model is so sophisticatedly advanced that at some point it will become so good at that you won't need to create country-specific rules about that. In my own language, I tried ChatGPT. I think it's much better, much more complex, much more sophisticated in English, but it's still okay in my language. Although when I asked it to write either jokes or poetry, it was really awful. I mean, ridiculously awful. But it will get better, of course. But I think English is the main target, even for OpenAI at this point. Dr. Vinod Nambiar, very good question to ask. Will ChatGPT and AI create a divide between the digital haves and digital have-nots? Yes, but it has happened already just because of the different access to the internet. Those having access to online channels as patients, they have a huge advantage over those that do not. So with such advanced tools, that divide will get bigger, but it's not AI that created the divide in the first place. It was the access to the internet and the fact that about 1.5 billion people still don't have access to the internet. Long shot. So eventually GPT-4, MedPalm, Bard will come to healthcare with huge benefits compared to smaller models. How do we choose among these big models, assuming no regulatory barriers? Very good question. With evidence-based medicine. Hopefully, there will be good studies by then showing which ones perform better on specific medical issues, medical tasks, and challenges. And with evidence-based rules, we will choose ones with the best studies, peer-reviewed papers, and clinical trials. But your question implies that ChatGPT is not in healthcare yet, even though hospital networks and pharma companies might not be able to use it yet. Millions of physicians and patients have been using that already. So it's not about whether these regulations will come. It's about regulations must come as soon as possible because people working in and working for healthcare have been using LLMs on a daily basis. Michelle Brewer, do you know if GPT-4 is trained on NLM PubMed Medline? As far as I can tell, 3.5 is not. It cannot answer any prompts or info queries for content on that source. Well, first of all, it only has access to the internet before November 2021. That's its cutoff date. And second, in theory, it doesn't have access to specific content on specific websites. So I don't think so. But I'm pretty sure that medical ChatGPT alternatives will be trained on PubMed, and those will change the lives of medical librarians forever and the way we access site reference studies as well. It's going to be a new experience writing studies and papers from now on. Arslan, okay, so pharma companies doing detailing for their products to healthcare professionals to provide scientific promo and information. If healthcare professional wants to do this self-service, do you think this can be a good use for ChatGPT? You know me, I don't know. Let's ask our good friend here. Where are you? Okay, browser. Pharma companies doing detailing for their products to healthcare professionals to provide scientific promotion. If healthcare professionals want to do this as a self-service, do you think this can be a good use for ChatGPT? I think the question is good enough. Of course, yes, it can be an excellent tool for providing self-service detailing to healthcare professionals. They can create a user-friendly, and here are the potential benefits, as usual. So availability, personalized experience, up-to-date information. Yeah, for efficient communication, again, it works as a conversational chatbot, so it's great for that. Interactivity, they can engage with ChatGPT in a conversational matter. It's cost-effective, as it reduces the need for in-person sales visits. Oh, how pharma reps are happy about it? No, they are not. Tracking and analytics, I think it's simply brilliant. So that's the answer for your question. Okay. Shaitai Nazman, can ChatGPT leverage on various open data initiatives? I think not for now, but it's a good point. As soon as there will be alternatively trained ChatGPT versions, I think it would be great to let them dive into open access databases. Hi, Dr. Jenny. Bro, I love it. What should a medical student have at the end of his degree program? You mean about ChatGPT? Can you please elaborate on that? And in the meantime, let's check one more question. When we will see it's a good question. When we will see the inflection point of trust built into the system to use generative AI technologies across clinical and admin workflows? As soon as enough people started using them. It might be a tricky answer, but hear me out. Building trust takes time, and building trust doesn't work in a way that if proper regulations exist, then we people in the system will automatically build trust. That's not how it works. If I start using something, especially an advanced technology I have doubts about, I build trust over time. So the more physicians, the more healthcare professionals, patients, policymakers start using ChatGPT-like tools, the sooner a population large enough will gain trust towards a system that regulators and policymakers will be pressurized to provide the right frameworks and guidelines and regulations. I think that has been going in the last several months. I've been talking to so many physicians that use ChatGPT on a daily basis. And I can tell my own experience. Since November, almost every day I use ChatGPT. Since the release of GPT-4, every single day I use GPT-4 for a range of tasks, from scientific summaries to writing emails to even writing jokes for my friends. Eventually, I gained a level of trust, and I think at this point I used it so much that I know in what fields it can be useful and for what tasks it will be a waste of time to use that. I am learning how to work with it. But even though you could have told me all these things I know now in advance, that wouldn't have helped build and gain trust. You have to use it yourself to gain that level of trust you need. Okay. Finance on Mars. Do you think that ChatGPT or other AI-based systems will be able to verbalize data that is not language? For example, explain complicated clinical data to layman. As long as it's data, it's text-based, it can do that even now. You can just add your lab results, like copy edit everything you have on a old version of your lab result report, and ask specific questions, and it will be able to find the meaning in the bunch of information and answer your questions for you, even today. You don't need to wait for that. And the big thing about GPT-4, just let me scroll through that because it's quite an important thing to check, besides just being 10 times more advanced than its predecessor, is that just a few things. It has a linguistic finesse. We published, not this one, we published an article about this, and I asked ChatGPT to show me examples when I could use these prompt examples to prove to medical professionals how different GPT-4 is compared to the oldest version. For example, the prompt used to be like diagnosing a patient with ambiguous symptoms. This is the prompt that you could use for GPT 3.4, and now this is the much more complicated prompt you can use for GPT-4. Again, the old version, you can ask what are some common treatments for type 2 diabetes. In the new version, you can just present a clinical case. This is really exciting. Second, it can create information synthesis. You can literally ask it to write a short research summary or research paper about a specific topic, and it won't give you a perfect solution, but it will give you enough that you can start work with. It has creativity and coherence. It can analyze images. Because programming, all these things are amazing, but it will be able to analyze images. The API that's accessible for companies through OpenAI's tool can analyze images already, and not even pro users can do it now. But imagine that you can write something on a paper as even a physician with physician handwriting, and it will be able to read those notes. It will make paper-based hospital systems paperless with one iteration, with one new version. This is simply extraordinary. Okay. Oh, Dr. Jenny, thank you for the elaboration. So what should a medical student know about ChatGPT? I think a medical student should, you want me to answer a question I answered already on my YouTube channel like 1.5 weeks ago. I literally published a video about 5 AI questions medical students must be able to answer right now. I just shared it in the chat. So instead of me telling the same things in 3 minutes, this is the video I created exactly for answering that question. I can foresee in the future. I knew that you would ask this question, so I made this video 1.5 weeks ago. Okay, long shot. How far are we from GPT reading radiology scans? Months? No, it's a hard question to ask because there are like 30, it's not even true. Let me show you something. The FDA, the US Food and Drug Administration, started publishing their list of FDA-approved AI-based technologies last year. And I hope you know that one of the reasons they did that was that we published a study at the Medical Futurist Institute about that. And the vast majority of these are based in radiology. I think I checked, and it's about like 80%. No, the other way around. 80% of these technologies are radiology based. So there's no question about how many AI products are out there analyzing radiology scans. For ChatGPT to do the same, I'm not sure if that's the case, because these artificial narrow intelligence based algorithms can perform very well defined single tasks, and they are being trained for performing very specific tasks and being trained with very specific sets of annotated data. Why would we use a large language model to do the same? But I think we could use the report coming from a radiology-based AI tool that analyzes, I don't know, MRI scans, and include that report into ChatGPT and ask specific questions about it. I think that's, so ChatGPT won't do everything for us that's AI-based, but it will be able to help us out with anything that's text-based, even if it comes from reports from radiology-focused AI products. It was a long sentence. Yes, the next question is also related to that. How would you pass on something like an X-ray to ChatGPT for explanation? The answer is the same. Rukshar Jaffer, welcome to the chat. Given the influx of cybersecurity concerns, how should organizations consider the implications of ChatGPT? First of all, they should find out how many and what kind of repetitive and data-based tasks their organization involves. And then find out how much is that could be or has been text-based. Because in those specific tasks, ChatGPT could have a place or potential. Plus, if I were the leader of such an organization, I would literally go to ChatGPT. I would describe my setting, be as elaborative as possible because it understands all the finesse, all the sophistication you can include, and ask specific questions. I have this role in this and that kind of organization. I've been thinking about how to use GPT-4 for these and those tasks or purposes. Please help me out. What kind of potential applications you can have in mind? And if it lists some general applications, you can even ask it to be more specific. From now on, let's focus on your point number 2, and let's describe by details how to do that. I had a discussion with a healthcare professional, a friend of mine, and I told him about all the amazing things ChatGPT can do. And I described to him that now myself, who cannot learn any programming languages or cannot read any programming language or write them, I can ask ChatGPT to write me a Python code for a website that writes jokes if you click on a button. And it told me, okay, I can see that it is writing the code or writing a code for a game of tic-tac-toe. But what if I don't know how to work with Python? What can I do how can I make a real tic-tac-toe game using that programming code? And I told him to ask ChatGPT this exact question. And he started writing step-by-step instructions, how to start a program that would be a game of tic-tac-toe. That's, this is how it works. We don't have to know the answers. ChatGPT doesn't know the answers, but working together, we can find good solutions. Add the shields. We are a pro user of ChatGPT via Azure. We are waiting on Microsoft for more information on the specifics of the HIPAA Business Associate Agreement. Do you have any information on the status? I'm sorry about that, but I don't have any info on this. It looks quite specific. So then I don't think that the company has published anything really public about that yet. Okay. Shandor Sabu, who will be responsible, for example, if in the case of radiological findings issued by AI? That's again not ChatGPT related. I understand the question. And the way I like to answer it is if I go back to a stethoscope. A stethoscope is an analog technology. A physician can use it to hear cardiac and lung sounds and make medical decisions based on that. If the technology works in the right way as it was intended to be working, and the physician still makes a bad decision based on what he or she thinks he or she might have heard, of course, it's the physician's responsibility because they use it in the right way. If they use technology in the right way and still the technology provided bad results, it's the maker of that technology that will bear the responsibility, the legal consequences. If the physician uses the technology in the way it was not intended to be used, then again is the physician's responsibility. Just like in the case of an AI-based technology, there is simply no difference between the two. All right. It's a long question. When do you think the next iterations of GPT models would help improve experience of the medical system in Europe and at large in Germany in specific? I think it's going to be very exciting to see. The question is not what, but when do you think? I think it has been improving the experience for many patients out there who know how to use such tools. It has been decreasing the experience or ruining the experience of many patients who have no idea how to use an AI-based tool, and they have not been able to ask for help with the medical professionals because not even those professionals know how to use such tools. So for those with a bit of technological advancement, I think it has been improving the experience already. I'm talking about millions of patients and physicians worldwide. And also I'm talking about millions for whom the experience has been getting worse. When and how AI will be accepted as a tool for general practitioners in diagnosis process of observation? Well, it's a very weird question to ask because how AI will be accepted. I think if I'm a primary care physician today and I have experience in using AI-based tools and I've been gaining trust and skills with using ChatGPT, I think I would be able to say that I have been using it and I accept it as a tool in supporting my own medical decision making. But I guess your question, your question implies that when like medical associations and healthcare organizations, policymakers would say that it's an accepted tool, I think it will take at least a year, if not more. Usually, even for really advanced technologies, 3D printed drugs, 3D bioprinters, AI-based technologies, it took years to get from understanding the technology to being able to regulate it properly. All right. Next one is from Mike Lipari. What steps are being taken to prevent AI from solidifying any biases the clinician may have into their workflows and care? I don't think it's, well, if it's about ChatGPT, I don't think it's happening. If it's about other AI-based tools like skin checking applications that could have biases built in because the deep learning models were trained on image databases that only contained images of skin lesions with people with whiter skin, then that's a bias. And only the developers, the clinicians working on those AI solutions can proactively prepare to exclude bias from their AI-based tool. But with ChatGPT, I'm not sure it's happening already. Thank you for the question, Brandon Fennell. What do you see as the timeline for HIPAA compliance and integration into health systems? You know, what shall I say now? Years at best. It was released in November. If we have a guideline from FDA, I always say the FDA because they are the best example for regulatory body worldwide. If we have a guideline by the 1 year milestone, so by November 2023, not a guideline that's in place, just there was a paper that the FDA came up with about AI, and it was like to initiate discussions about future regulations. Even if we have such a paper by the end of this year, I would be extremely happy. So what can I say? It will take a lot of years. Well, it's a hard question to ask from Yo Antwi Ajay. How will ChatGPT and AI help in making provision of quality healthcare services in countries where internet is not easily available? I think we have addressed this before. It won't. It will make the divide even bigger, just like how the access to internet in itself, without any AI in the picture, has been making the divide bigger. All right, next question is from Guile Adams. How reliable is AI currently? Are ChatGPT answers currently evidence-based? The first question, I hope that you are very specific about your questions. AI that's on the market in medical technologies are reliable because they have been approved by the Food and Drug Administration. This is the highest level regulatory body in the world, especially when it comes to regulating AI-based medical technologies. So those are reliable. Those are evidence-based, have clinical trials and peer-reviewed studies. ChatGPT, in contrast to that, doesn't provide even proper references for the answers it provides you with. This is not evidence-based. There are no clinical trials, no peer-reviewed studies. There are peer-reviewed studies about how ChatGPT performs on specific tasks, but not about the answers. So it's very far from being evidence-based. If I may be as brave to say that, it will never be evidence-based. It will always depend on your individual capability of verifying information to make sure that the answers you choose, the answers you use, could be used for something evidence-based, for writing a medical paper, a clinical trial, for example, or organizing a clinical trial, for example. Oh, 4 questions in one from Günther Iliert. I'm not sure if you will be able to see all these questions at once, right? Just 3. How to address privacy concerns with using ChatGPT in healthcare. At this point, we don't know enough about what OpenAI does with our data, so just don't provide private information in your questions, because you don't know how much of those will be stored and obtained and used for other purposes by OpenAI. How to deal with the liability issues when using ChatGPT. We talked about it before. The age of verification is coming. How will the role of physicians change? I think during the digital health paradigm shift already, when the medical team started welcoming a new member, patients, that role started changing already. And with AI, maybe the change will be a bit quicker, but the nature of the change won't be that different. And there is one more thing you can see here. Which digital therapeutics will be the first to integrate ChatGPT into their offerings? That's a good question to ask. I won't say brand names, but I would love to hear what ChatGPT thinks about this exact question. And my question is, how digital therapeutics will integrate? Let's see this. Actually, the threshold is like the information it gets access to is from before 2021 November, and digital therapeutics had a breakthrough year last year. So maybe it doesn't have enough information yet about this. We'll see. So personalized health coaching, medication adherence support, symptom tracking. I'm not sure if these are relevant to digital therapeutics. So simply because digital therapeutics had a breakthrough last year and its threshold is before that, I think it doesn't have enough information to provide a good answer. You know, that's how we verify the responses we get from ChatGPT. Sebastian Wang. Hi, as a medical student, what would you advise me to learn to excel in the future of medical field? I shared a video in the chat about 20 minutes ago. I will share it again because I just released a video for exactly that purpose. Please check the video, and it answers 5 questions about this. If AI makes a mistake in the medical care, who is responsible and pay for insurance? We have covered that before in details. As we only have about 11 minutes left, let me just get to the next questions. Manohari Balashingam had this question. How does ChatGPT help in cardiac ultrasound imaging? You know my question. I don't even answer your questions anymore. I just go to ChatGPT with every single question you might have, and it will provide some answer. So the reason why I'm doing that is that GPT-4 cannot analyze images even in the pro version yet, but maybe ChatGPT in general could be used to support someone working in cardiac ultrasound imaging. And as you can see, it will come up with some general answers, but some of these could be quite relevant as well. Yeah, it's good enough. Okay. Next one. Next one is, how do we input medical information like signs and symptoms pertaining to a specific disease into the system? You include any text you might have. Even if it's unstructured, it will find a way to get the meaning out of it. You can include the lab results report or a discharge summary just as one big chunk of text and ask specific questions. It will understand that. Treat GPT-4 as an agent, so you can talk to it. You can describe your setting, the challenges you go through. You can describe what you're having in your mind right now, and from there, what is your question? It's incredibly useful if you do that. How do I build a custom model using ChatGPT? Coming from Onged Tet, I think through the API. If you do a search for OpenAI ChatGPT API, you will find ways how to build custom models. How ChatGPT can be used to improve the quality of admission note. If you have any text about that, or if you have a general text like a negative something, a report, and you have some specific notes about this specific patient, then you can ask ChatGPT to update the report with the right specific details included into that. So instead of you doing that manually, it can do it for you, for example. Hawaida, I just checked the help of ChatGPT in echocardiography, and it can create a report template, but I would have liked to create a clickable report. Okay. And I would have liked to have unicorns, step by step. Now we have an AI helping us with saving huge amounts of time every single day. Soon it will analyze images you might have, and then videos, and then sound. Give it a minute, we are getting there. All right, next one. Could you touch on non-clinical applications in healthcare? I think it could be like general things, anything that, like if I want to write an email about like accepting keynote speaker invitation for a conference, or I want to decline it, but very politely, it's not clinical, but I asked ChatGPT to do that for me. I actually did it today, and it writes really amazing emails. Are you aware of any GPT chat interaction with medical records or HIS reviewing quality criteria? Not for now. I think we will get there, but not for now. Medical records contain private information about patients, and I think hospitals around the world keep on sending out memos about just urging physicians not to share private information on these large language models. The question is coming from Stephen Langston. Are there regulatory issues blocking the immediate use of this technology? There are no regulations. So the regulatory issue, the biggest one we are facing right now, is that there is no regulation, no proper regulation. Not even the highest level regulatory bodies like the FDA know now what to do with large language models. The next couple of months will be about that, for sure. Sebastian, thank you so much for loving the videos. Thank you. Yeah, Jorge, it's a good point. Go deep with GPT-4. So ask something, then ask a follow-up question, and then go deep from there. It will come with you, because one thread is something that it will keep all the information used before, and it will keep on building up on that. It's an amazing experience with building a relationship with the technology live. Okay. How do you plan to take into account the emotional and human factors behind diagnosis, just like physicians do it now without AI-based tools? So don't expect these tools to solve these problems for us. Don't expect these to create relationships and build trust between patients and physicians, but expect these tools to save a huge amount of time for both stakeholders, even for policymakers, developers, inventors, researchers. These tools are not about solving the issues for us. It's about us learning how to work with them properly. And just imagine that if GPT-4 is as amazing as it is today, imagine, what could be in the making in the server rooms of OpenAI and other similar companies. So this is going to be extraordinary. As soon as it starts analyzing images and maybe generating images, like Midjourney and DALL-E have been doing that, I think if the GPT-4 is allowed to analyze images finally, then why wouldn't OpenAI just integrate DALL-E into its own service and start generating images based on textual prompts? But why stop there? Maybe in a year or so, it would start analyzing PDF reports and documents and videos and sound. So the potentials are extraordinary. And I understand if this futuristic vision makes some of you, even I admit it, even myself, it makes me a bit worried about how we will be able to keep up with that pace. But I think the risk is simply worth it. And as it's about improving our abilities to keep up with it, to learn how to work with it, You don't have to learn a programming language right now in 2 months to use ChatGPT. It's just about spending time with this tool to learn how to use it better. I think the risk is simply worth it. Yeah, so please start using ChatGPT or keep on using it, and check out GPT-4 as well. In the meantime, please check out all the analysis we publish on medicalfuturist.com, all the daily analysis and commentary I publish on our LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram channels, and the videos we publish on YouTube. We have a Patreon website, patreon.com/themedicalfuturist, where you can support what we do here. Also, you can support us on the YouTube channel. This way, we can keep on producing a range of free content across many social media channels. And I will keep on being your own medical futurist. I will be using GPT-4 on a daily basis. If anything exciting, anything new comes out, I will be here to analyze it for you. I will read the reports so you don't have to. And in general, just thank you so much. I'm really grateful to you all for being here during this live Q&A session. Thank you so much for the amazing, thoughtful questions. There were about, I think, 50 or 40 or 50 questions. So it was really quite a dynamic 1 hour for me. So thank you so much for that. As you can imagine, everything, and you can expect every 3 weeks, I will be here either by myself or with a special guest globally to analyze an interesting, exciting topic. So I hope that you will check out the next Q&A live session too. Of course, as usual, this Q&A live will be published here on YouTube. Everything is open access, so you can rewatch it later on. And in the meantime, if you have any questions, just reach out to me on any of the Medical Futurist channels. And please don't forget to check out the amazing courses we have published on thinkific.com. We have 2 courses. One is about digital health and one is about artificial intelligence in healthcare, a practical introduction to all the things you need to know about the near future of medicine and healthcare from the AI perspective. We have worked so much on that course. So I just included a link in the chat. Please feel free to check it out. And thank you so much for being here. Have an excellent day. And I hope that the last message that you got today is that ChatGPT won't solve solutions for us, but we people won't be able to solve solutions anymore without tools like ChatGPT. So it's time to learn how to work with AI and build something better. Yes, that's how optimistic I am about the future with this amazing tool. So thank you again for being here and have an excellent day.